For the tiniest angel with amethyst eyes, and hair spun like gold, for the altar did rise, pronouncing these words in a dignified tone, O impious imp, be ye turned to stone. Hello and welcome to the Friday Fantasy Show from the Bottled Imp. Exploring the realms of fantasy. My name is Ken Boyter and this is a fantasy folklore special focusing on imps. Just what are imps? Where do they come from? What is their nature and why do they want to befriend humans? In today's episode, we hope to answer those questions and more as we take a little look at the little creatures known as imps. The Old English noun, imper, and associated verb impian appear to come from an unattested late Latin term imputer, the neuter plural of the Greek, natural, implanted, grafted. From there, it came to mean a young shoot or twig from a tree or plant. Later, it came to mean the offshoot of a noble house, and then a child in general. In the 16th century, the term imp was used in expressions such as imp of serpents, imp of hell, and imp of the devil. By the 17th century, it came to mean a small demon, a familiar of a witch. But what of the origins of these impian creatures? Unfortunately, not too much has been discovered. In Germanic folklore, they are typically described as lesser goblins, and thus, when they crossed over to English folklore, the term imp suited, as they were considered offshoots of more mightier and powerful dark forces. In some cultures, imps and faeries were seen as the same being. They both share the same sense of free spirit and enjoyment of all things fun. As human history unfolded, people began to see faeries as good in nature and imps as malicious and evil. There is one legend that dates back to 12th century Scotland. The legend of the Imp King tells of how the devil stole a child and in place put an imp in the cradle. The imp grew up with hateful grudge against the devil and eventually returned to hell to start a revolution. He called upon all the other imps and hellhounds and other minor beasts to join him in his quest for revenge. Calling himself the Imp King, he grew a crown of thorns and led the largest army of demi-demons into the great throne room of hell, where he was captured and imprisoned in a cage in the devil's great hall. His screams still echo through the cracks of earth from his torment and bindings. So just how can you spot an imp? Imps are small, bony, unattractive creatures with faces like masks of thin stone, frequently twisted into a smirk or a grimace. They have oversized ears and horns sprouting from their heads. Their bat-like wings sprouting from their shoulders. Their skin ranges in color from purple to red-brown to gray, maybe scaly or stone-like, and they walk with an unpleasant hunch. Some of these twisted creatures more resemble monkeys or cats than humans. Their noses elongated into snouts, and they prefer to walk on four paw-like hands rather than walk on their hind legs. Imps are thought of as lonely creatures, constantly looking for friendship, and as such, are talented pranksters. They would see their practical jokes as harmless fun, such as hiding objects or changing the temperature in a room, while other practical jokes are more serious, such as switching babies in a cradle or leading someone astray in the wilderness. If a friendship is gained, they still might continue their practical jokes out of boredom or simply because it is in the nature of an imp, and thus the term impish is used for somebody who loves practical jokes. Imps can be found almost anywhere and not associated with one particular area, such as a wood or a lake. They can occasionally be bound to objects, such as a bottle, a crystal ball, or a staff, and summoned only when their master needs them. In this case, they may take a corporal form when summoned from their objects, or they may lose their corporal form altogether and exist as a spirit in the object. One such spirit imp is the Bottled Imp, who lives in a long-necked, round-bellied bottle. The glass is white like milk, with ever-changing rainbow colours in the grain. The glass is tempered from the fires of hell and is indestructible to any known force to humankind. The owner of the bottle can call upon the imp to grant themselves wishes. They only need to ask and it will be granted immediately. Wealth, fame, success, whatever their hearts desire, it will be given to them. But there is one crucial drawback to ownership of the bottle. If it is in your possession on the day of your death, you will go straight to hell. The owner knows this to be true because if the imp is powerful enough to grant wishes, then it is certainly powerful enough to banish someone to hell. The problem about ownership is that one cannot simply give the bottle away. It cannot be destroyed or tampered with, and the only way to dispose of it is if you sell it for less than what you paid for it. When last heard of, the bottle had sold for only 2 French centimes, and the new owner had trouble selling it on again. Nobody knows where the Bottled Imp is now, but it was thought that Napoleon Bonaparte once owned the bottle and might have conquered the world if he had not sold the bottle on. It is understood that imps have magical powers, but it is also acknowledged that these little creatures are minor in comparison to other magical beings. Imps have the ability to shapeshift into various small creatures, such as rats, ravens, and even spiders. Imps are associated with hell and fire and are a real threat to humanity, and they enjoy conjuring up and manipulating fire. They also feed off the energies of people, especially arcane energies, with the exception of their master, whoever that may be. Imps are said to be invulnerable to most things. Only certain objects and enchantments can harm them, although they can easily be kept away with magical wards. During the witch trials, spanning from the 16th to the 18th century, imps were thought of as the familiar spirits of the witches and warlocks. These little demons were the spies and informants. To this end, imps were sought out as proof of witchcraft, though typically these so-called imps were no more than black dogs or cats or other common pets. Imps are mischievous, lesser demons, often lonely, often misguided into doing a more powerful demon's dark and corrupt bidding. Over the years, their evil side has become more prominent, yet they still retain their love of joy and fun. But if an imp tries to befriend you, you may want to think twice about the company you keep, for you never know what evil and mischievous plot they are scheming.